try again. Not that we did that much really, but still, it's might be. Okay. So what we were doing was depreciation last time, right, guys? And we're going to have this give you 2 quizzes, right? It's going to be next time, isn't it? So about a half hour for each. I don't care how much time you spend on each, but they're about a half hour long each. You'll be moving, right? Normal quizzes for me. And you know all the depreciation methods, and you need know all the inventory methods, right? So usually I do quizzes with 2 or 3 or 3 chapters on them. So it's okay. It's not bad. Okay. I'm going to use the hour. So do one, then do the other. Two separate scantrons. So I did it done really fast to get it back to you. So anyway, and because I want to keep the points separate, of course, too, right? Two scores in case we have to see one if you want to drop. Okay, so let's go ahead with the example. I can remember what it was.
The video still says it's private.
The video still says it's private. Okay. Send me an email if it's separate. Otherwise, I'll forget. You got a little bit of time between class. You're an hour done. Between classes, we're trying to get out there. Okay. All right. So equipment. Was it 200,000 we used as the example? We'll just use the same. Good. Salvage value or residual value, what we're going to sell it for at the end was 20, wasn't it, guys? Yeah. Stressing my memory on by yours. Okay, depreciable value. What we're going to depreciate is 180, and then we're going to stop. If we were doing straight line, which we've done all along, what would we do, guys? We want to get what would depreciation expense be? What would accumulated depreciation be at the end of each year? And what would the remaining book value be at the end of each year? If you can calculate that stuff, you can do the journal entries, right? You can answer pretty much any question related to this stuff, okay? You know what's going to be in the financial statement. Depreciation expense goes in which financial statement? Expense, income statement, right? Accumulated depreciation is what kind of an account? Contra asset. Where does it go? Balance sheet, current or non-current? What do you think? Equipment, building, you're going to depreciate over a number of years? It's non-current, right? Property, plant, and equipment. Land, building, equipment, less accumulated depreciation on the building and the equipment. That's how we show it in the financials, huh? You guys read about this stuff. What's book value? It's the difference between the original cost of the thing, which is in this case 200, right? And your accumulated depreciation. This is simple, isn't it? The only thing that makes this complex is there are a number of ways to calculate depreciation. So you got to get that down, okay? And you also might sell an asset, right? We'll mess with that too. We'll probably get to today. If we don't, we'll do it in the review session, okay? Right? There's gains and losses when we sell building and equipment. If you don't sell it for exactly the book value. So we're going to have our first gain and loss and sell stuff, okay? By the way, what's the difference between a gain and a revenue? Revenue is in an ordinary course of business. What you're in business to do. When Ford sells Fords, right? When Kroger sells groceries, okay? How about when Kroger sells equipment? They're not in business to sell equipment. That would be a gain or loss on that, right? Guess what? It's a gain if they sell it for more than its book value. It's a loss if they sell it for less than its book value. And this is just common sense. It's going to be easy, okay? Right? So you have to decide what's their major ongoing, right? Line of business. That's revenues and expenses, right? Gains and losses just relate to peripheral stuff, we call it, right? Not the main of the business. Okay, good. So let's do years. Year 1, 2, 3. What did I say? 5-year life? I'll write that down. So the first one we're doing here is straight line, right? And we already did that last time. It's going to be easy. How much depreciation expense each year?
36.
Yeah, it's 180,000, right? Be sure and use the depreciable value because you're going to depreciate 100% of it over the 5 years. You want to stop at 20, right? Don't use the 200 or you'll go all the way down to 0. Everybody get it? Just let yourself think and you'll be just fine. 36,000, what do you bet it's 36,000 every single year? Ta-da. Okay, I've got that. I hope I asked you for something like that. Okay, and then what would the accumulated depreciation be each year? Obviously, at the end of the first year, 36, right? And you leave it there. What do you do to depreciation expense that you do not do to accumulated depreciation? At the end of every year. Close it. Yeah, it's a revenue expense account, right? Gain or loss account. It's an income statement account. Temporary, nominal. You close those and start over so you can count the new year. Does accumulated depreciation go away? Well, of course not. The equipment doesn't go away, neither does the accumulated depreciation. By the way, could this be a building instead of a piece of equipment? Sure. And it works exactly the same way. Isn't that cool? You don't do one, you don't do the other. Don't panic if I give you a building. Who cares? Right? Buildings usually have longer lives than pieces of equipment. Yeah. Okay. That's because they last longer. That's funny. Okay, come on, guys. All right. I'm here, leave me alone. Okay, so what's accumulated depreciation? Second year. 72. What is it the third year if you add another 36 to it? 108. What is it the fourth year? 144. What is it at the end? 180. It's a miracle. It's 180, and I have 200 costs. What's the remaining book value at the end? 20, which is what we wanted to have at the end. What if I keep using it? It's free. Really what happened is I screwed up my estimate of its life. What if my estimate was too long? That's what happens, right? Stays at 20, and I just keep using it for free, right? Or you could change its life and depreciate the rest of it. Or you could change its salvage price, or you could change its salvage value to nothing or something and get rid of it, right? If you wanted. Okay. What if my life is too short and I have to sell it? I'll have a gain or loss when I sell it, right? Probably more likely to have a what? Gain because I didn't depreciate it enough, right? Maybe. I don't know. Okay, depends. So what's the book value in each of these? You got to be careful with that. It's the 200, right, everybody? 200 less 36 was what? 164. And then guess what? The 164 is going to go down by 36. You know, if you have 272 more accumulated depreciation. Remember, this is what you're doing. You're going to show equipment, whatever it is, a piece of equipment. You can either call it equipment, trucks, whatever, right? Delivery equipment, something, whatever it is. Okay? It's going to have 200 every year, and then you're going to show whatever the accumulated depreciation is, right? And subtract it. That right on the face of the balance sheet. And then that's going to give you net equipment, which will be the book value. Everybody got it? How it's going to work. Okay. So at the end of the second year, how much accumulated depreciation would we have? 72. How much book value would we have left? 200 less 72 is what? Everybody does realize that 164 less 36 is 128, right? That's what we're doing here. So if I had 128 at that point, whoops, if I had 72 at that point, if I had 72,000 accumulated depreciation, what's 200 less 72? That's what we just did, huh? What is it? 128. And it just keep going down, wouldn't it? Everybody good? You know how to do this, and then we trouble. Okay, what is the next year?
92.
What is the next year?
56.
56 less than 30 is 20. It's a miracle. Okay? Everybody got it? So let's do something else. Okay. That worked pretty good. Okay, 2. Let's do, instead of straight line, let's switch to double declining balance, okay? Then we'll come back to units of production. I think it really quick last time. Okay, but double declining balance, this is the only one where you are taking a percentage of what's left. So double declining balance, double is 200%. Did you guys know that? Funny, huh? Double is 200%, 2 times. We could also do 150% declining balance. We could do 175%. We could do 125%. There are different ones, right? Those are the common ones. Okay. So what we do is we take straight line, what it would have been for straight line per year, not the amount, the percentage that straight line would have been, not the amount. Everybody hear that? The percentage that straight line would have been, and if it's double, we double it. If it's 150, we take 1.5 times it. Does that make sense? So what would straight line have been here, even with a 5-year life? 1/5, right? Which is 20%. Does everybody agree with that? So what I'm going to do is I am going to double 20%. What is that? 40%. I am going to take 40% of the remaining value, the remaining book value. Everybody hear that? Declining balance. Got it? So the balance is going to be going down. The book value is going to be going down as you depreciate it, right? Because we're going to be debiting depreciation expense, crediting accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation keeps going up. Guess what? Your book value keeps going down. And you always take 40% of what's left. In this case, what if you had a 4-year life? What would you do? 1/4 is 25%. Double it would be 50% a year. Not kidding. What if you had a 10-year life? 1/10 is 10%, double it would be 20% a year. So what happens is in the early years you have lots of depreciation. Okay? This used to be a method that was for tax purposes, right? Now there's something called modified accelerated cost recovery system you read about a little bit, and very short lives, very accelerated depreciation. Why do you suppose Congress put that in place? They wanted to encourage people to buy new equipment and to sell their equipment before it was used up. Same with buildings. Why would you want somebody to sell equipment before it's used up? So we got UPS buying brand new equipment. They never buy any used trucks, right? They're always brand new. They don't want them breaking down on them, right? They're moving, okay? And they can afford new ones, right? So they constantly buy new trucks. What do they do with the trucks at the end of their life? Are they done running? Not even close. For them, their life is when it gets to a point where they might have to repair it once in a while. They never want their trucks to break down. Not that it never happens, of course, but they never want them to break down. They want to deliver that next package, right? Keep moving. They don't want a truck sitting there with a bunch of packages on it, okay? Because it makes us angry, doesn't it? Stuff doesn't get to our door 15 minutes after we ordered it. Not quite that bad. But the next day in Louisville, a lot, okay? Because we have warehouses for UPS here. That's what's going on. Logistics center. Okay, so the stuff is warehoused here, so you know when you order something from somewhere across the world, and it gets there here the next day, you guys, they didn't really ship it from there, right? They just delivered it from their warehouse here in town. Okay, but anyway, a lot of times, if they have to deliver it across the world, it takes 2 days. It's just amazing, right? It's just amazing what they do. I don't know why we have stores anymore. What for? Stuff goes fast. What was I talking about? Okay, anyway, when UPS hasn't really used up the truck, but they get rid of the truck, right? Who do they sell it to? A smaller business that can't afford new trucks, but are trying to get their business going. Is this good for creating jobs? The answer is yes. I don't know, you can talk about, is it good for the environment to make a whole bunch of stuff and then throw it away? Maybe not. Does it create a lot of jobs manufacturing the goods? No, somewhere in the world. Some of it's manufactured here, lots of it's not, right? Does it create a lot of economic activity? Oh yeah, it does. Does it also reduce people's tax bills dramatically? And they have a lot of deferred income tax that they're going to pay a number of years from now, just like the inventory thing we talked about. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. This one I don't object to too much because it really does stimulate a lot of economic activity, right? Other than the environment, okay? You know, I mean, that's a tough one to tell, right? So as long as you don't just throw stuff away, if we take that used equipment and refurbish it and use it, you know, it's probably a good thing, huh? Keep the economy going, keep the jobs going. So, you know, everything's complex. So anyway, we got 40%. What do you want to do? Let's do exactly the same thing. Let's get our depreciation expense each year. That's going to be the debit depreciation expense, right, guys? Everybody knows what we're doing here, right? We're debiting depreciation expense. We're crediting accumulated depreciation, am I right? And then the difference between that cost and the cost is still 200, isn't it? I still have an equipment account with 200 in it. Everybody agree with that? Okay? So it's still 200. So if we were using this double declining balance method, we'd want to get our book value at the end of each year too. Does that make sense? Year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here's the deal. You're going to take 40% of the remaining book value, the declining balance, every year, and you're going to stock when you get to what? 20,000 salvage value. That's it. You got to remember to do that, right? By the way, a lot of times we don't set a salvage value when we use a method like this because there's always a remaining amount. Does that make sense? So we wouldn't even set one lots of times. Okay? That makes sense? Because you're going to always have whatever, you're going to have 60% of whatever was left at the end, right? You know, last year. Okay, so what would depreciation expense be the first year? Notice it's not 72. It's not double straight line, is it? It's more than that. That's because we're depreciating what? 80% of the book value. What's the book value at the beginning if the cost is 200 and accumulated depreciation is 0? It's 200, isn't it? What's 40% of 200? That's all I'm doing. You guys do know what 40% of 200 is, don't you? You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Come on. 200,000 is the book value. You haven't depreciated it yet, right? I want 40% of it. That's all you do. Okay. That's it. How much is it? 80,000. Ta-da! That's more than 72. It's double the rate straight line is, right? Percentage straight line put it in. It's not double the amount straight line is. Can you tell by the way I'm explaining this to you guys, talking about it, that that's a real common mistake? Don't make that mistake. On any of the declining balance methods, 125, 150, 175, 200, whatever it is, right? Percent. It's always going to be a percent of the full cost, right? Because we're going to stop when we get down to 20. Otherwise, you'll never get down to the 20. To use the 180, you'd never get there, would you? Because there's always a portion you didn't depreciate. Okay, so it's 80,000. What's the journal entry for the 80,000 at the end of the first year? Debit what? Depreciation expense. It's always that. Credit what? Accumulated depreciation. So don't screw up the entries. Do not change them around. Don't start debiting accumulated depreciation and crediting depreciation expense. I have all kinds of students do it right on the first one, and on the second one they change. What are you doing? Depreciating something and then undepreciating it? Okay? Of course it's exactly the same journal entry every time. Okay? So here we go. I put 80,000 in here, wouldn't I? How much is in accumulated depreciation, of course, then at the end of the first year? 80,000. What's the book value?
120.
It's already down to 120. See how fast that's happening? Everybody good? Okay, now let's do the second year. If the book value is 120, we're going to take 40% of it. The second year, what's that? 48?
48.
48,000. Everybody see it? All I'm doing is I'm taking that 120 now times 40%. That's all we do. Whatever the percentage is, right? Okay? Double the percent straight line would have been. That's all it is. Okay? So that's 48. And we just keep going. So debit 48,000 to depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. Now what do you have in accumulated depreciation?
128.
Yeah, because remember we closed depreciation expense. We did not close accumulated depreciation. So it accumulates in accumulated depreciation, huh? Okay, so what's 200 less 128? 72. You guys can do this, can't you? Just not a big deal. Okay, and then the third year? Now we need a calculator. 72,000 times 0.4, huh? What's that one?
28.
28, 80, 28,800. Okay, 28,800. Debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. Now what do we have? 128 plus 28.
156.8.
56,800. Take that away from the 200. How much do we have remaining book value?
43.2.
Now we want to be careful. When do we want to stop, you guys? When we get to 20. Remaining book value 20 is as low as you want to go, right? Okay, so what would 40% of 43.2 be? 43,200 times 0.4.
17,280.
We didn't quite get there yet, did we? Okay, so we'll have a little bit left for the fifth year. 17,280? Okay, great. Debit depreciation expense, that's a 7. I'm not kidding. Okay, 17,280. Debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. Do you remember the journal entry? Yeah, stop saying it, I got you. Okay, anyway, so what's 17,280 added to 156.8?
174.082.
That's just too messy, even for me. Okay, it was, how much was it again? 17280, and this is 174,080. And if you take that away from the 200,000 cost, what do you get?
25920.
How much can we take the next year? 5,920. What's 40% of 25,000? About 10? Right? Will we take that much? No. We can only take enough to bring us up to what? 20,000 here is, we can't go below that, right? So we can't go above 180 here. So guess how much you can depreciate? 174,80 less 80,000, right? Or just the 25,920 less 20,000. It's 5,920 in there. Debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, boom, we're done. Okay? That's it. Everybody got it? Okay, so then let's try, let's do units of production again. This is just like straight line, except it's spread across the units. What did I say? How many units did I say we were going to do? 100,000 was it? I don't know. We'll use 100,000 this time. Okay, let's say it's over its life, we estimate 100,000 units. Okay? How much are you going to depreciate? Be careful. Are you depreciating 200 or 180? 180. So what we're going to do is it's going to be just like straight line. In fact, the only ones where you use the 200, where you use the cost, are the declining balance methods. Got it? Okay, all these other ones, where I'm taking 100% of it, I'm going to spread the cost over, when I do a straight line, I'm spreading all the costs over 5 years, right? 100% of whatever I depreciate in the 5 years. So I used the 180, didn't I? What am I going to do here? I'm going to spread it over 100,000 units. I want to use the 180, right? So how do you find out how much it is per unit? You guys are really so much fun still. You're really good at this stuff. You're getting really good, right? You're really coming on. It's fantastic. And you guys sit there with every new thing I give you and look panicked. Don't do that. Just relax. All through your career, you're going to learn how to do things you don't know how to do. How boring would your job be if every day you went to work and you knew exactly what to do every minute of the day? So you never had to think about it. You just go do it. Sounds good, doesn't it? It is the most boring thing there is. Horrible. Life would just suck. What if every single one of the musicians who comes into your class was always already a fully accomplished musician who could not ever improve? Boring. Boring. Don't be a teacher then. Just play with them, right? It might be fun, right? But you wouldn't be teaching anybody anything. Come on, guys, you're not supposed to already know how. Otherwise, there's absolutely no purpose of doing this, right? Relax and learn it in everything you're in. Do that. So don't look panicked anymore, okay? Good. You look better now, just as a group. And you got to think about that once in a while. Yeah, I'm not supposed to already know it. You only have to know it the day after tomorrow. It's okay. At work, you have to do it in the next 10 minutes, right? Kind of. Yeah, kind of. Okay, anyway. So we take the 100,000. How much do you want to depreciate then, each unit? Just take your 180,000, right, guys? Take that 180, depreciable value, and divide it by what? By the 100,000 units that you think you're going to produce. By the way, will you produce exactly 100,000 units with this piece of equipment and then throw it away? I doubt it. You might produce less, you might produce more. It's an estimate of how long it's going to last. Got the idea? So how much is it per unit? 18, right? $1.80. Come on, kid. $1.80 per unit. Okay? So let's say years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? I'll make up some numbers here, I guess. What am I going to do? 100,000 over the 5 years? So I was right the first year, it's 20,000. Okay? Then it's 25. Then it's 30. Then it's 33. And then it's 28. What would you do? These are the actual units as we go. You, of course, don't know the actual units until we do them. But in a problem, I'll tell you what the actual units are. What do you want to take each one of them times? Every single one. Okay, you got it. Okay, good. So every single one of these is going to be times 180. Everybody good? All right, so what's it going to be? This is going to be the depreciation expense, isn't it? And then we'll debit depreciation expense and credit what? Accumulated depreciation. And the difference between the original cost of 200 and accumulated depreciation will be the book value. Is everybody happy with that? It's easy, isn't it? Okay. What do we want to be careful of? We don't want to depreciate more than how much? 180,000. Yeah, that's it, right? So you have 20,000 remaining book value. Yeah. We don't want to go below the 20,000 remaining book value. That's it. If I have more than 100,000 units there, guess what? I have to quit depreciating when I hit the 100,000th one. Everybody good with that? Just have to quit depreciating after 5 years with a straight line, even if you use it longer. Same deal. Okay? So what do you want to do? What's the first one? 20 times 180 is what? 36. It's 36,000, right? It's only the same as straight line because of what? I used 1/5 of it, didn't I? 20,000 out of the 100. Debit depreciation expense. Credit accumulated depreciation. What's the remaining book value? 200 less 36 is how much? Help. 164. Okay, there we go. All right, and then what's the next? You have to help me now. What's 25,000 times $1.80? 1.8. 45. Debit depreciation expense. Credit accumulated depreciation. Sound good? And then how much will we have in accumulated depreciation now? 81. 81. 36 plus 45. How much will be in the remaining book value? 200 less 81, right? How much is that? 119. Fantastic. Then 30,000, right? 30,000 times $1.80. How much is that? 54,000. Debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, right? How much will we have in accumulated depreciation now? 135. Take that away from the 200 cost, right? What do we have left to go? 65. When do we want to be sure and stop?
20.
We get at 20. Okay, so we got a ways to go still. What's 33,000 times $1.80? 59.4. Is that too much? Yes. It is, isn't it? How much room do we have? So 59.4 would have been $1.80. So guess what? We're not doing that anymore. Right? What are we going to do? How much do you want, gang? I'd like to have enough to do what? Make this 20. Make this 180. That could be how much? 45,000. And you know what? That's because we already had 20 plus 25 is 45, plus 30 is 75. How many could we do in this one? 25, which is 45. It's a miracle, right? Debit depreciation expense for 45, credit accumulated depreciation for 45, and we're done depreciating. What will we end up having in the 5th year now? Nothing. Your life is, you're not going to have any depreciation expense because you're already to the 180, and we'd still have on our balance sheet 180 accumulated depreciation and 20 book value, because the cost would still be 200, right? Your life isn't a number of years. Your life is how long you say you're to use the machine. Got it? Everybody good with this? This is units of production. It's spread over whatever units you're going to produce. You can do this with a vehicle. Say it's going to last 250,000 miles, right? And do so much depreciation per mile. Diesel truck, right? 500,000 miles, more like it. Okay? All right? For let's hope they last that long. A couple $100,000. Okay? And what else? Forklifts. The hours we run it, right? Any machine could be based on the hours, could be based on the number of units you produce, something like that. Okay, so it's spread over the units you produce. By the way, when you do depreciation, what you want to do is estimate the life it's really going to last, and you're trying to estimate how fast you're going to use it up. Why would we use double declining balance for financial statement purposes? Anybody ever buy a new car in here? Yeah, when you buy a new car, you know what happens? You pay $20,000. You can still get cars for that, I think. Yeah, okay, barely. Okay, you can get a car for $20,000, right? By the way, you guys buy one for 20, not 40, when you graduate, and you can become a rich person. Buy one for 40, you won't. You're going to spend all your money buying cars. So don't do that. I convinced my wife of this. Yeah? No, you don't want to be rich. She likes cars. Anyway, so, that stuff. She hasn't been able to buy a car now for something like 8 years because our grandson was born about 6 years ago now. She quit working to take care of the grandkids. She can't afford a car payment now. She's killing it. She's trying to decide if she still loves her grandkids better than she does cars. So I guess yes. The girl's in now 4, so she's got a couple more years of doing that. So, and her boy's 6. But anyway, did you ever notice when with a new car, and you guys are aware of this, you pay $20,000 for it, you drive it around the block, and now it's worth 15. But depreciation is not reflecting market value. Depreciation is reflecting using up utility value. So how long are you going to use it? But even if you don't think about the market value, what happens when a car is brand new? Just wait till you have a brand new car. They're really, really nice. You know what's neat about them? Every time you put the key in and you turn it, it starts. Even in this cold weather. It does in a new car. Really honest, you guys. And they don't break down when you're driving someplace. It doesn't just stop on you, you know. You guys are experiencing this, right? You're college kids. I know you're driving junkie. Sorry. Be safe as you can. You're driving. Okay? Right? Unless you have really nice parents and they gave you a decent car to drive around. I did that to my daughter and my son when they were in high school. I gave them really safe, nice cars to drive. And I took them to IU Bloomington, where freshmen couldn't have cars anyway. And I took my car back. And they always thought it was theirs. Why would they think that? It was mine. I was letting them use it. Oh, they were just boastful. It was hilarious. I had a good time with that. Imagine. Yeah. Bye. Well, aren't you leaving my car? Nah, you're not parked up the street. What are you talking about? So, took it home. Yeah, anyway. Now they both have nicer cars than I do. How about that? That's fun. Okay. Looking to buy their own. Anyway, but what happens is it gets used up in the early years, right? You have almost no maintenance in the early years, and then what happens in the later years? You have tons of maintenance. Might it make more sense to depreciate more in the early years because you are using up more of it? And in the later years, you have the repair and maintenance costs instead of the depreciation, because the total cost might still be the same. You got the idea? Okay, so for something that is like that, declining balance might make sense, right? When it's new, you use up more of it. When it's old, you kind of just keep it going with maintaining it, right? Spending the cost there. Versus a building. What do you think might make more sense for a building? Maybe straight line, at least in the early years of its life, right? Although every asset, my dad was a carpenter. He says it's the best business in the world because as soon as you build something, it starts falling down. It's true, right? You build a house and it starts deteriorating. You ever look at a 30, 40-year-old house where nobody's done anything to keep it up? It's in really bad shape by then, right? If you don't put a new roof on, it goes completely to the ground, right? It just rots. The whole thing will go. It's just a great business. You just build something and you start trying to keep it up. Or you wait for it to fall down. Okay, anyway. And assets are kind of like that. They all get used up, don't they? Okay, so units of production. So let's do another one. Let's do some of the year's digits. These are the 3 the author gave you, right? This one's kind of fun, though. Let's do some of the year's digits. And it'll give you some free points on a quiz. Why not? Okay? Sum of the year's digits. This is an old tax method that is not allowed for tax purposes anymore, but there are companies out there that still use it, so you guys will be some of the few people who actually know that, I suppose. There are 5 years in this, right? So here's what we do. We add up 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. I'm not kidding. What does that add up to? Year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can imagine if this is a 40-year life, there's a little formula for it. No big deal. Okay? Well, what is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5? 15. What I'm going to do is I'm going to depreciate this thing over 15 fifteenths. Huh? I'm going to depreciate 100% of it then, right? So what number am I going to use, 200 or the 180? If I'm going to do 15 fifteenths of it. 200 or 180? What do I want to have left at the end? I want to have 20 left, so I'm going to use the 180, okay? I'm going to depreciate 15 fifteenths, which is 100%, of the 180, right? Over its life. So that's going to give me depreciation expense total over the life. Depreciation expense of 180, which will of course give me what? Accumulated depreciation at the end of 180, which will leave me how much book value at the end? 20. So my total of my depreciation for all my years is going to be 180. Does that make sense? My accumulated depreciation is going to be 180? Yeah. So, but here's what I do. I want to have more depreciation in the earlier years and less in the later years. It's an accelerated method, in other words. So what I do is I just flip the years around. This is crazy. 5 fifteenths in the first year. 4 fifteenths in the second year. See, I just flipped these around. 5, 4, 3. 3 fifteenths in the third year. 2 fifteenths. And 1 15th. So what does 5 fifteenths, 4 fifteenths, 3 fifteenths, 2 fifteenths, and 1 15th all add up together? 15 fifteenths, right? We got it. That's it. No kidding. So what you do is you take your 180, right? And take it times 5 fifteenths. Got it? Okay? And do it over and over. Got the idea? So all you have to do is take 180 and divide it by 15. What's that number? How much? 27. Okay, so 1/15 of 180 is 27,000. So the last year's depreciation expense is going to be 27,000. The year before that's going to be what? 2 fifteenths, double it. 54,000. What's 3 times 27? 81. All right.
I gave you the wrong amount.
Uh-oh. We trusted him too. Let's fix it.
180 divided by 15 is 12.
Oh, it's 12. Okay, that seemed a little big, didn't it? Okay. I shouldn't just write it down. I should think about it too. Okay, 12, that sounds about right, seeing as 18 would be 1/10. Yeah, okay. 12, okay, and then so the next one would be what? 24 the year before? 2/15. 3/15 is 36. Oh, I can't believe how easy this is. 4/15, 48. And 5/15 is a third of it, 60, isn't it? What do those add up to? 60 plus 48 plus 36 plus 24 plus 12? It's 180. Okay, so what's the accumulated depreciation at the end of the first year? 60,000. Book value? Careful. No, not 120. Easy trap, right? Our brain plays tricks on us. It's a $200,000 asset less 60 accumulated depreciation is what, guys? 140. You guys aren't going to make that mistake, are you? Okay? Because he just did it for us. Who did that? That was really nice of you. Okay, whoever said that. Yeah, everybody got, that reinforced. Okay? I'm not going to make that ridiculous mistake. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right. He's a confident guy. He can take it. Okay. Wouldn't it be fun to work for me? Every time you make a mistake, it's like, oh, for God's sakes. My wife says, I have a brother-in-law who says there's something wrong with him. He doesn't have whatever it is that keeps you from saying socially inappropriate things. So he constantly does it. Yeah, he's very successful. He sells fertilizer for a living. I'm not kidding. Yeah, but anyway, got an agricultural degree from Washington State. He sells fertilizers. Yeah. He thinks that using organic fertilizers is extremely dangerous because so many of them are poisonous, and we don't regulate them. You'd rather have a chemical any day, he says. It's awful. Not that he likes the chemicals either. But the organic stuff, he says, a lot of organic stuff is poisonous. And nobody cares because it's organic, right? Stuff that's organic couldn't kill you. Like cyanide. Yeah, it's organic. Yes, I couldn't kill you, could it? Yeah. Anyway, molds and stuff. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, I've got the same problem, I think. I used to always say the wrong thing, mostly on purpose, for effect. But when you do it in social settings with people who don't know you, right? My wife says, you start out the very first day with these students being a total ass. They think you're a total ass. And I said, well, yeah, but then they take my quizzes and tests and they still think it. So, yeah, okay, anyway. So maybe they're right. That could be it. Okay, anyway, so what's accumulated depreciation at the end of the second year, guys? 108. What's the book value? 92. Oh, man. End of the third year? 144. Book value? And you can see how this is accelerated compared to the straight line, right? But it's not quite as fast as double declining balance, is it? I don't think. Okay, and then what's this one going to be?
68.
And what's this one going to be?
33.
And then what are we going to have?
180.
It's a miracle. And 20. You guys can do this, can't you? Okay? Let's sell some equipment, okay? Write down for yourself, because we got them all right there in front of us, I think, don't we? We don't have a declining balance. Let me give you a problem, and then, you guys wrote all these down, right? I'll do one more sheet here. Let me give you a problem, I want you to do this. I'd like you to give me, record the journal entry for the sale of this asset. Okay? And first, let's use straight line depreciation. And let's say we sell it at the end, sell at end of year 4. And let me give you 3 different sales prices. At the end of year 4, I said. So the first one's going to be $56,000, and it's for cash. The second one's going to be $50,000, and the third one is going to be $60,000. And I want you guys to let yourself think about what should happen. You guys know how to figure things out. You don't know you do, but you do. Okay? You got this model down. What did I get rid of, and what did I get? What did I give them? What did they give me? Cash. We got cash. 3 different amounts. So it's going to be 3 different journal entries. 3 different scenarios, right? In one case, they gave me 56,000, 150, 160. I bet you know what to do to cash, right? Okay. And what am I giving them? The equipment. What do you need to do to equipment? What's it on your books at? You better get rid of it. But what else goes with it? You know, if you make equipment 0 on this piece of equipment, and you got a whole bunch of accumulated depreciation, and you leave it there, what, you got a negative asset? 0 less accumulated depreciation? So do you need to get rid of the accumulated depreciation? The answer is yes. Do it. And you know what? The difference is your gain or loss. Of course. If you sold it for more than its book value, guess what? You have a gain. If you sold it for less, guess what? You have a loss. What if you sold it for exactly the book value? You have neither one. I'm assuming I use straight line. Not those, that's double declining balance. Straight line. What was straight line? So I said straight line, right? Don't use that, that's double declining balance. Good point. So use straight line. Where were we at? At the end of 4 years, where were we at? How much accumulated depreciation do you have at the end of 4 years? Get rid of it. I'm getting rid of this thing. I'm not going to depreciate it 5 years because I sold it at the end of 4. Got it? Sitting there very smug. Just know how to do it? No, you're not going to tell me. Are you thinking about it? I'm not going to pay you to sit there and think. Come on. No. Okay. Like I said, thanks for it. In fact, if you're confident, you will sit and think. It's going to service, right? It's fine.
So, the monetary value is what we sold it?
Yes. 56,000 is what I sold it for. And it cost us 200. So we got to get rid of it. They're walking away with a piece of equipment, right? We delivered it to them or something, right? Gone. Probably a pretty big piece of equipment, 200. So they're driving it, hauling it away in a semi, I don't know. Come on, you guys, quickly. Then do some more before we leave. Debit what? In every case, cash. What do you think? It's just sitting there. Shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of obvious what we're going to do. What else are we going to do? What do we get rid of? Equipment. Isn't that a debit? It's an asset. How much was it? 200. Would you do that in every single case? Sure you would. No, you guys know this. Just don't want to prove it to me. But you will on a quiz, please, right? These are easy. The hard thing is knowing what accumulated depreciation is. You have to calculate it. How much is accumulated depreciation?
144.
It's 144. Don't I have to debit it to make it 0? Yeah. Does that journal entry balance? Yeah, you sold it for book value. No gain or loss. Oh, cool. How about this one, accumulated depreciation? What should it be? 144, right? So I took an asset that has a $56,000 book value, right? And I sold it for 50. What happened to me? Do I have a gain or a loss? Loss. You sold it for less than book value. It's loss on sale. I'm not kidding. The loss is 6. And notice there's no revenues and expenses associated with it, right? Because this is peripheral to our business. There's no cost of goods sold. Right, guys? So I've got a $6,000 loss. Where will the loss go? On my income statement, down in the bottom and under that non-operating stuff, towards the bottom, you read about in chapter 5. That's where you'll expect to see this stuff, right? Just debit loss. Loss on sale. You really call it loss on sale of equipment or something clever like that. Okay? How about the other one? Accumulated depreciation. How much? 144. Still a $56,000 asset. But now what happened? I got 60. What do I need to make my journal entry balance? Yeah, it's a $4,000 gain. Gain on sale. You got it. This is too easy, isn't it? Okay, I want you guys to do one more thing then. Let me give you, let's keep those values, 56, 50, and 60. Now, let's just do one of them. Let's do, I sold it for 60,000. but I'm going to do it a couple of different ways. Okay? Let's say in the first one, so this is sales price, right, guys? Do this. The first one is I'm using double declining balance, and I sold after 3 years. The second one is I'm using units of production, and I sold after 3 years. And the third one is I'm using sum of the year's digits, right? That last one I gave you. And I sold after 4 years. Go for it. It's going to look just like the same journal entry. Debit cash, right? Credit equipment, debit accumulated depreciation, and then you get your, but the book values are all different, aren't they? So we're going to have different gains and losses. Go for it. Bet you can do it. I bet you can do it before it's time to leave. The real time to leave, not a later one. Can you find what accumulated depreciation is after 3 years, double declining balance? That's all you need. Same thing after 3 years, units of production. Same thing after 4 years, the sum of the year's digits. You get 3 points on the quiz test. If you get to this, I can't remember what I put on there. Isn't it nice I don't have a memory? I don't have to worry about giving away things to you guys. I saw him coming this afternoon. Yes, it's up there. Time she can't. I can stick around longer. If you need to talk to me earlier, that's okay too. I'll get around my office. MBA students want to talk to me again this evening. It's 6 o'clock with them, so I'll be around. See, everybody got it? What's the entry going to look like on the first one? Debit cash for how much? 60. Credit equipment for how much? Is every single one of them going to have that characteristic? Of course they are, right? Everybody agree? Give me the same on all three of them for that. How much are we going to debit accumulated depreciation for? What's the accumulated depreciation after 3 years there, guys? 156.8. Okay. Guess we better have some more zeros. 156.8. So what does that make the book value? 43,200. Is that what it was? Is that what it was at that time?
Yes.
So if it was 43,200 and you sold it for 60, what do you have?
Gain of 16.
You got it. That's all there is to it. 16.2.
8.
If this is, 8. Yeah, that's 8. Mikey. Okay, 16.8. How about this one? Debit cash 60, right? What was accumulated depreciation?
135.
How much?
135.
135. We're good, aren't we? Equipment. So the book value was how much? 65. You sold it for 60. What do you have, guys? Loss of 5. Oh! How about the last one? How much cash? 60. How much equipment went away? Of course, the whole 200. So when you went and looked up accumulated depreciation, what was it? 160? 168. All right, that left a 32,000 book value, and you sold it for 60. What do you have, everybody? Gain of 28. Is that what that was? Ta-da! We're brilliant people. You can do this thing. See you guys in an hour. No, 2 hours. Short-term intermediate students first. Present values, future values.
Yeah.
You guys can do a little bit of that. The liability value. That's soon. You can start on it. Then an intermediate will do it.
On the last homework. I got an email, you know, saying, there was a few on there that were just like, what was it, the weight, nominal weight and stuff. I just like,
A lot of it was, it's blue, accurate stuff. And, you know, again, that's partly me, you know, not reading the kids. The kids go to the book.
yeah, she was one.
Yeah, says E. Yeah.
I told you that.
You know, other people don't really do that.
Why you like that?
Anyway, it sounds, I know, what the name of the yeah, I gotta play.
No. I gave my leg yesterday, so I really don't want to be just standing there for, you know, standing there talking for 7 minutes with a leg that feels like it's going to fall off.
What? No big deal driving to class, just do it later. You had the same time?
Yeah, no. Not for the
I think his name is his, not the great one.
I know, that's what it's not even like
The other day it wasn't there.
You look recently.
Yeah, this
did.
is one that wasn't even there.
That tree's gonna be nice. It's gonna be so hard. And I didn't get it.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm like,
I'll get it back now. After this line. Yeah, we'll do it. See what's going on. You like that one?
Thank you.
By the way, if I forget to
Okay, are we using the table that we're
not in 2 hours, 3 hours. 2 o'clock.